Everyone, if you can start with the flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It looks like maybe I should start changing our meetings to morning meetings. Everybody else complains about afternoon or evening meetings. Okay, this is a special meeting on Friday, May 10th, 2024. This meeting was called mainly to discuss the park board appointments and because the season is coming on, and so we kind of wanted to accelerate that, and then also a discussion about our trial of the county government page, and then anything else that the council or commission want to discuss. So I believe the first order of business is I've had a few people contact me and say that they didn't feel like we made it known that we were looking for, people to fill positions in the park board, which besides hosting it originally and then bringing it up every one of our meetings, I mean, we only have so much bandwidth to, for a board. I mean, really, it's hard. I mean, Tom, I was asking people all over all the time too, at other meetings that you've been at, things like that. So we were fortunate enough to have two people reach out to us that both have previous board experience, not just on the park board, but other boards, but also have Parks and Recreation experience. Kathy Norman sits on the CVC board. Carl Swihart has been involved in multiple different things. He currently also facilitates sports for other sports complexes and parks as well. So extensive. Yes.
That Mitch Thompson also contacted me, and I told you guys a couple weeks ago.
Yes, Mitch Thompson did reach out. But I don't know that we never did get a contact to the auditor about it, but you're right. I remember you did. So yeah, there were other people that mentioned it as well. And then I got calls yesterday. From some people too that the last hour expressed some interest, but maybe Kathy? Yes, sir.
And I would just say that the mechanisms with the park board right now with only three, I mean, we all have to be there, otherwise we don't have a quorum, so it's
right
that we get people.
Yeah, and I'd like to do that first, just so we can settle that, since we're talking about, we had some other agenda items also. Just some questions from the council, so you weren't blindsided of a few things that we wanted to ask also, just that were procedural about your department. And then, about, moving into this year as far as, management of the asset, et cetera.
So we all know that there's, two other platforms that open positions could have been posted on the Starke County government page, could have been put on there, advertised on there. It wasn't. We all know that stand up, is a good place to reach out to and advertise open positions as well. I didn't see, WKBI could have been another option to post open positions.
Sure.
So there were definitely other steps that could have been taken to get the word out more, because for even for those that
point taken, Mr. Reisner. Actually, we never have people beating down the door for that, so we will look into those resources. I don't know that we'll look at stand up, because stand up Starke County became closed, and generally government doesn't get involved in things that the door's locked on. I know that you had like people putting spam on there and stuff. I know how that goes, but that's a closed site. And then during the discussion about your Starke County government, we could also bring that as business before the council about how we move forward with that. Right now, we currently have a website. On that website, we have a council page on that website. There's also a park board's page and a park board website. So, I mean, there comes a point too where things become a little redundant also, and it's hard to, if you advertise on too many media. Somebody pointed out to me yesterday that even on the park board website, which we need to talk to Stanley about that, but it's got things back from 2023, I think somebody said, so we do need to, it's hard enough to make sure things are up to date and consistent just by managing a couple pages. But then when you go several layers out, it gets difficult. Now, the point was also made to me that Charlie Chezik posts the commissioner information on stand up, and that's great. I mean, that's his prerogative, but like I said, I think for us, in agreement with the council, posting to a closed page is not something that we were interested in before. We can debate that though and bring that up, but can we, let's focus on the park board business first and then we can talk about
But
those.
I would ask that, you know, because you did get more, once people actually found out that there was open positions, that you actually started getting more interest in it. I would ask that the talks of appointments be tabled until, you know, you can actually get the word out to the
Yeah,
public.
I'm just gonna say that I was part of this when the park board like first started. That would be crippling for them to have to wait any longer to get somebody on there. This is their season. What I would suggest is, I mean, we've got a few people in this room. We'll go around and talk to you. Obviously, you have some remonstrance about, you know, the lack of procedure. And, you know, and the fact that some of your people didn't get a chance to, you know, vie for that position. I get it. You know, but, moving forward, I mean, we need something now essentially. So, I mean, but I'm interested in hearing your thoughts for the future and how we can better, you know, move forward with that.
What are the expiration dates for these two seats? Do we know? When they'd have to apply again? I know mine's up at the end of this year.
I have it in my office
I
if you
do.
wanna.
Because we can maybe
Tracy
post
has
that
to.
too and see if anybody else.
Yeah, that's a good idea. What we can do, in fact, we can do that for all of our road positions on each page.
And exams.
Post the dates, you know, when they recycle. That might be another helpful thing too. Then people can get it on their calendars.
I think that is a good idea because I remember my very first council meeting in January of 2023. There were all kinds of documents and expressions of interest in open positions then. And I knew nothing about any of the people or the positions at that time. And, you know, it was my first meeting, but I was just handed a packet and we all cast a vote. And I don't feel like I was given the opportunity to look into the folks who were willing to serve, and I appreciate their willingness to serve. But I also think if we are going to insist that other bodies in local government, which we might be funding, take certain steps to search for qualified candidates, I think it's only consistent and fair if we practice what we have been preaching. And again, I appreciate these folks' willingness to step up, but now there are other people who are also willing, and I think they deserve to have a look before a vote is taken, which I apologize because of the urgency, but we do have another meeting in 10 days of the council on May 20th.
You do realize though too, that this is a county-owned asset, not a local body. Like this is actually.
I do realize that. There's a statute that governs the formation of this as well as economic development commissions and other conservancy districts. So yeah, this is a statutory body and the council.
I mean, and also when we laid this out too, like it wasn't taken lightly. We went through all the process. I mean, we, you know, put a pretty, you know.
Well, I'm not
effort
suggesting
behind
it was taken lightly. I'm just saying that there needs to be more of a fair and even-handed procedure to choose board members.
I think are you Mr. Pugh? I don't think I've ever met you face to
My
face.
name is Eugene Pugh. I have
Yes,
a
okay.
question about the Starke County website. Is there one person that handles the website, or do they count on each department head to input the data?
That's a good question. Actually, we have an IT person that will update, but it's only as each department reports to him and update. Like he can't check everybody's website. We've got him working on jail cameras, locks, you know, like, you know, stuff that isn't even like, it's connected to IT all the way down to every person's computer in here, their firewall, the breakdowns, everything else. And so he and his department are tasked with that. So yes, there is.
It's a venue for information if we get the information.
Yeah, and I think that's our goal too, is to just do a better job on ours. That's one of the things that we were talking about.
Not thinking about just the Facebook page too, because that's not maintained by the county.
You're talking about on our website, correct? Yes, okay, yeah. Yes.
She did have her hand up first before me. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Just like to say that I've been with the Parks Department this is my third season. And we desperately are involved in so many things between our Troyer grant to renew the beach house and bathhouse, our kayak project that is finally underway, and our season beginning to start. We desperately need a strong board. I personally have had experience with Kathy and with Carl. they can come in and be prepared and ready to help make some of these hard decisions that we need to wait and do now and not wait for it to be tabled month after month. So I would just like to say, I appreciate what you're saying and allowing other people opportunities. But I know from our department, we've had the word out ever since those seats have been vacated and have tried to send them to the right positions. If we have two people with the experience, the willingness to jump in, I strongly hope that you will make the decision to let that happen now and not wait.
And if I could just rebut that one second, Mr. Reiser, and I'll go to you, but also I have to tell you, I spend a lot of personal time out there too and try to help. And I know Rick, and Tracy and Tom know everybody at the lake. I'm telling you, and so does Rick. Like everybody's been trying to get somebody out there. You know what I'm saying? Tracy lives at the lake, Tom lives at the lake, Rick lives at the lake on top of it. Like you guys have tried to get people to join.
Parts of the county. I mean, why does the whole?
It doesn't have to be. I'm just saying that even though there's that much saturation of the lake, nobody from the lake even volunteered is what I'm saying.
I've been to that property owners meeting, said that there was open positions.
Exactly. And I mean, even though there was that much marketing, I mean, Coons Lake knows that we have that, and we get a lot of people from Coons. I don't know if anybody's here today, but we get people from Coons Lake that show up.
Meetings a lot.
Yeah, they do. And I come to a lot of your meetings too and talk to them. The Coons Lake people call me a lot. And one thing is I've had people call me and say, hey, like, we want to work with you from Sandpier to Coons Lake. We want to work in that direction too. Some of those aren't our park assets, but we're supporting it. We're working on a project right now where we're partnering with the township in Sandpier to build a firehouse. It's right in a park. Hopefully that helps them raise revenue for the park development. We're working with North Judson Park that isn't part of our park asset, but we donated money there. So we're all about wellness and parks and, and environment here in Starke County. So, yeah, yes.
So, well, I understand that the park board is they're not a government entity, they're not elected. Myself as a tax-paying resident of this county, knowing that the park board spends our tax dollars, I have an issue with somebody being appointed to any board to spend tax dollars that is able to and more than willing to create PACs during election years to do nothing but slam our.
Well, that's me.
Yeah, well,
That's
I
what
don't want to talk politics about this. I want to focus on the park board, but
That's the thing, is our elected officials.
I didn't say
So, no,
and I never said anything that wasn't true.
And that's some of these members should not.
let's always make sure that numbers on the table. Okay, so let me go back to that. First of all, I will not address anything political about our function within this county. We are not a political, in this political situation here. We're here to be functional. So I understand where you're coming from, but at least now the council knows where your direction is coming from with what you want to say today. I wish it wasn't just political, but if I can address the park board. So you guys probably even heard Tom and I debate this probably the most, but the park board is a county owned asset. So the revenue from that is owned by the taxpayer, but they generate their own revenue. So what they bring in, it's a net wash almost. I mean, we take a little bit out of the pocket of the county, but that's so you can all enjoy it too. The beach, when you want to rent a overnight camp space, the kayaks, kayaks have been very successful. And then separated from there, we have new kayak launches and other things like that. So they generate a lot of revenue, mostly for themselves. So, right, I don't debate that. So I'm just, trust me, I'm smiling at Tom because we've debated that a lot. That it's true, but it's also a revenue center. I mean, EMS costs us money to run in the county, but they generate money as well. So it offsets a very large portion of that. So, certain things generate revenue in the county. So anyways, I wanted to get to Mrs. Pugh, correct? I don't think we ever met face to face yet, but we've talked a lot. So, yes.
Could the board be expanded to include someone from the west side of the county? Because I looked at the board members, they're Knox and Bass Lake. Could we get some representation from Sandpier, North Redstone?
You raise a good point. First of all, I would say two things. For one thing, I don't want to usurp the power of an established board. So I will say that could be a possibility. But beyond that, what I would say is even better is you've seen that the council especially, and that I don't want to speak for the commissioners, but I'm sure Don would agree, from county government, we've been driving a lot of boards to get smaller because a board manages a function, isn't the function itself. So like when we talked on the phone, what I recommend is that more people show up, because then when a board sees that kind of interaction, they can put committees together. Oh, there's a group from Bass Lake, Coons Lake, let's put a Coons Lake group together. There's a group from this side of the county. Now, the other thing that Tom discussed, and Mr. Reisner was suggesting this, which is a great idea, is that we should have all those appointments and their timeout listed on our website. We can work with Stanley on that. And I
And
think
let me
that's a
just
good idea.
interject too. I checked the statute on park boards yesterday and I don't believe it can be expanded. The statute states how many members can be on it, as well as who appoints those members.
It might not be a bad idea to also, for each of those seats, put which governing body appoints that seat, because that's public information too, and it's
So,
good to know.
all this stuff that you guys talking about, information, like my office is an open door. Like anybody can come in and ask for these appointments. I know the Lees, are the Lees here? The Lees ask me for things all the time. Like you guys just need to ask me, and I will give that to you.
This is the inconsistency that that grates on me though, is that it's great, you have an open door, but we also had the Economic Development Foundation telling us that they were open. All we had to do was come in and ask for their financial information. And we didn't like that they were saying, oh yeah, come on in. We wanted them to reach out to us. So I just.
But you have to do your own due diligence looking for that information too.
Is much
Not if you don't even know that it's there. I mean, but people in this room now know that these things might have been publicized
I
somewhere.
have, like, any kind of diet, just ask me. I'll
As much
provide you with
as
anything.
I hate to disagree, the Development Foundation is a way different animal than Park Board, because we have a contract
Well,
with them.
it is.
And I don't like it any more than you do. They don't have to show us anything.
No,
which
but
I don't
I
like.
mean, to go back to that, our discussions we've had about that though, we've emphasized that there needs to be a proper search done for qualified candidates. And I'm not saying the current candidates for this are qualified or unqualified. I haven't been provided any information, any written information about their particular qualifications. And if we don't have that, then
I don't think our search, like, we can't like put that on our departments to like do like these searches. I mean, the idea it was our appointment. We should have done the search. That's why we were involved.
well, we should, but it's not too late. We have another meeting in 10 days. So we can have.
Let's go with Tom, and then Mr. Lee also had his hand up. And then what I'd like to do is just ask the two candidates that are here today to introduce themselves, talk about their background, and then there's 7 of us. So, we've heard from a couple of us. What I'd like to do though is support the park board and try to move forward. And then, and we'll just debate then on how we go with our candidacy. So
Yeah, so the only thing I would say, at least from my experience on the park board over the last couple of years, the limiting factor on who's on the park board was the people who volunteered to actually do it. It's not that we go out and look for people from certain areas, it's whoever within the whole county.
I agree.
There's some advertising.
No, I know, but it's always been an issue of getting volunteers, at least in my perspective. So,
Were you aware, Mr. Reisner, that those were the council appointments, that these two are council appointments, not like, I didn't know. If
I'm
you knew
aware of that. That nobody knew anything about it.
I disagree.
that. Yeah, I would say a lot of people knew. I mean, I think we could pull this room and you would see that you're out there.
This room.
Around the lake.
You hold the whole county and you get a different result.
Well, I mean, we could debate that, but I mean, without having them here, Mr. Lee, go ahead.
First of all, great job on the microphones. I suppose we have Stanley to thank for that.
I never noticed.
We can hear.
Brian was for an assistant for Stanley. Wasn't that mentioned in a meeting? Maybe, I know bandwidth is a problem for everybody. Everybody has their responsibilities, and it's hard to add to them. Maybe in that assistant, maybe somebody with the skills and the knowledge to do that kind of like social media management and outreach is something that you could add to the responsibilities of Stanley's assistant. Looking for somebody with that kind of skill set in addition to what Stanley needs might be a benefit. To be kind of like a social media manager for the county and do the kind of outreach that Justin, myself, and others would like.
I think we've had that with the assistant in the past, except for having a Facebook page. I mean, we'll debate this with the council. We're not gonna speak for the commissioners, but together, we're the executive body of the county. I'm not sure where we stand with wanting to be on social media, because as we've seen already, it gets too political. And the thing is, within county government, we have to drop that. Once we're elected and we walk in here, we all work together. It's not political anymore. And so that's where it becomes difficult. What we want to do is support the people and also support the greater good. And sometimes when we have 5 or 6 people that come to a meeting consistently and everything else, it's still hard to say, hey, you can represent 23,000 people in the county. Myself, I'll never do that. I don't want to speak for everybody else, sir. And then I'm gonna go to the candidate, sorry.
This is the first time I seen it, and it was on Facebook, and that's why I'm here. But the communications with the county and everybody else is very limited. You don't even know when this meeting is going on and things are passed. I have property in Bass Lake, they passed a sewer thing in there, which I never knew nothing about it till I got notice from their lawyer. But I'd like more communications would be better.
Are you aware that we have a county website, sir, a Starke County government
I
website?
just found out.
Okay, we've had that in practice for about 17 years,
I never knew that.
yeah.
I've never.
Updated, that's about it.
It's
The
just the
calendar is
ca-
about the only
But the
thing.
calendar,
I do, the town of North Judson Facebook page, I love how they post their minutes for their meetings and everything. They've been doing it for about 2 years now.
Stanley just left. We'll let him know that when he comes back in. I don't think I've ever seen their page either. And, the other thing too is I brought up the fact about for us, about your page being closed. Maybe you can just post our link to our Starke County government page on your website, and have it like at the top on a banner or something like that, and then that might be, then you guys can discuss
Yeah,
stuff on.
I can do that.
So I saw Mrs. Lee, and then as promised, we'll go back to the council and then the candidates.
Just one thing to address Justin real quick. The minutes are posted on the website. Yeah.
I'm talking, the town of North Judson.
Oh, okay.
Page
All right.
has every, they post their minutes.
Our minutes.
But I'm just saying that the minutes from the meetings are posted on the Starke County website.
Don't they post their agenda in advance also?
Stanley, the suggestion was made, if you get a chance to see how North Judson does theirs.
That is Facebook though.
Oh, you
Oh,
guys.
but it's Facebook again, but
We might get
so, but as far as like, maybe there's some.
Basically, like in this day and age, and the advancement of technology. It's not really enough to say, we posted it on this website, we expect people to come to us, I want to see elected representatives put forth the same effort in reaching out to the community as they did during the campaign. So during the campaigns, which I'm not asking anybody to go door to door to inform people, but letters sent out, there's a whole lot more energy and want to get out there and talk to the people. Campaign.
Yeah, that's an expensive proposition. It's sending hard letters out. Yes, very expensive.
Well, social media is free, and I think, I don't think anybody can argue that our citizens want greater government transparency, not the same or less. So that's why I'm taking issue with the process. Not.
Anybody would like to? Hello, board appointment.
This was given to us in January, I think.
It is on the website, yes.
This was given to us in January.
But I'm just gonna add to that, and then Mrs. Lee, the thing is we can keep on going several layers deep, but I mean, you guys want us to do our job, or you want us to be social media gurus?
Do your job, that's why I'm asking you to table today's appointments.
Okay, we've got that already, Mrs. Lee.
I just want to add that there's always a reason not to do something, and it just feels like we spend a lot of time coming up with excuses for why we're not gonna do things. As far as these appointments though, we are at every meeting, like, we don't miss meetings. I remember in January, might have been end of December meeting, when board appointments were talked about, and there was talk about posting all of them. I don't remember the park board being one of those, and you're saying it's been on the website. I can't find it. I sat here right now searching for the notifications that these two positions were open. I checked the park board page. I checked their agendas for the last 6 meetings, nowhere on their agendas has there been anything saying that they were looking for 2 park board members. So I just want to say.
It's updating, but it is on here.
It's been in the minutes.
It's on the agenda, because people they don't go if they don't.
You also come to park board meetings? I don't remember. I don't know. I've seen it. So,
Go to park board.
so like there's another letter down, like we're not.
And just let me finish. What I'm saying is, you just sat here and said, it's been on the website, we've been advertising it. I've never seen it. I've not once.
You never did that at our meetings? You said you were at our meetings. I can pull the minutes.
In January, that's when you guys, I believe it was January, I think I'm wrong, might have been December. You guys talked about all the different appointments and the ones that you didn't have, that you were going to get them advertised.
We didn't talk about all of them. We talked about the ones that are open at
Right,
that time.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But you said you were going to advertise them because again, you talked about the importance of making
We do
sure that
that.
all of this stuff is now advertised. Since then, I've not seen a thing about it, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
And I also haven't heard anything about it.
But you do realize the two people that left were after our appointments in January that you're referring to.
But the point is that you're saying, you just told us all that it's been on the website and we can't find it, like.
We can send you a link. We'll send you.
It's the minutes in January 16th, it's on the agenda, but it doesn't have this list.
But it wasn't an advertisement, hey, open position. No, you have to dig through each meeting's minutes.
Well, you just
try
look
to
at
find
that, yeah.
advertisement.
I thought the appointments were on here too, though.
No, normally that's what we do, though. That's how we operate. I mean, the county council posts their agenda. I mean, each board posts their agenda, park board posts their agenda, and then people come if they want to talk about things on the list. I mean,
You just said it wasn't on the agenda though. It was only in the minutes.
It was on the agenda for
In
116.
January, for
Yeah,
the park
yeah.
board, though, it's
Oh.
never on there.
Yeah, okay.
It's in our minutes because it's discussed every time. It's not necessarily an agenda item.
I understand that, but if it's discussed.
If you're advertising. for
Right,
open
if you're
positions, you
advertising,
can
you can
advertise outside of
say
just
you're-
posting.
thank you for your feedback. We do plan on improving, and you know, we appreciate that. Can we ask, and I'm just, since I'm looking at Mr. Swihart, ma'am, do you mind if we, okay, you want to go first? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of you do know me, some of you don't know me, I'm assuming. I know most of the faces in this room, I'm counting. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. I have an undergraduate degree in nursing, and I worked many years at the local hospital here, and I just took care of a lot of local people there over my course of time. And then I went back to school to the University of Notre Dame and got a master's degree from the School of Business and ultimately ended up becoming the CEO at Starke. And I was the CEO there for 7 years. Once you must remember me, huh? I still remember folks that are there when I go in. Once I left there, the next job that I took was over at Ancilla College. They wanted to start a nursing program there. So in less than a year, I think I officially started in June or July of 1 year. And in February of the next year, I had a presentation to the State Board of Nursing, very big soiree kind of thing that they had. They're all up on a podium and you had to speak with microphones because we were in the auditorium. And I will never forget, they took IU Northwest first ahead of us. And they wanted to add on to their nursing program. And I remember the president of the board picking up the book that I had sent and said, well, I would have expected to see something like this from your request. So they tabled their request. I stood up, I signed from Ancilla College and we're here to apply for a nursing program. And I was awarded full accreditation for that program from the state of Indiana. And I will tell you how I did that. I did it by myself, no secretary, and I hired a group of nurses to help me write the curriculum. And I paid them $100 a credit hour out of the $26,000 budget I had to get that program ready. We admitted the first students that year, and then I didn't want to teach, so I decided to move on. And what I moved on to was a personal venture of my own. I bred and showed Pomeranian show dogs, and I had the #1 show dog in the country in 2007. I loved that little dog. He was an ornery little critter and walked in and expected to be rewarded for his effort right in there. After I left there, I had not too much to do, so I ended up running for county commissioner.
That was in 2008 in Springfield. I'm a Republican. And I went to the Farm Bureau School of Campaign. And I remember they told us, they said, most of you in this room are gonna lose because this is gonna be a Democrat year. I thought, well, now why did I sign up for this? This was probably the worst thing I ever did. But I did win that year. I won by 72 votes. I was the only Republican that won in Starke County, and that includes national, state, and local. Everything else was a clean Democrat sweep, except for that particular position. So I was from District 1, which is Oregon Township, Washington Township, North Bend Township. And there is a portion of the lake, of course, that is in Bass Lake, because I'm going to put on here from Bass Lake. However, during the course of my 12 years as a county commissioner, I did have occasion to go to all areas of the county, and I spent quite a bit of time there and felt like I did obviously a fairly good job since I kept getting elected. I will say probably I did sit on the park board after I left because the law says that county councilmen and county commissioners cannot sit on the park board. And it also requires political balance on that board, with something that hasn't been mentioned. And that means on a 5-member board, you gotta have 3 of one and 2 of the other, regardless of which are the way that goes. That's why Carl is here as a Democrat and I'm here as a Republican. I did sit on that board for a couple of years, but let me go back to my time as a commissioner. I did a lot of projects when I was a commissioner, and one of the things that was recognized by the people that I worked with is if you get Kathy Norman involved, you get your project done. And I see Rachel snickering there because that is the truth. The Veterans Memorial that is there on the corner is probably the most significant project that I ever headed. I was a commissioner at the time. We had given that project to 3 other people 2 years before, and it languished and nothing happened, just like it's kind of happened with kayak launches, but that's another either here or there. And so finally, my last year as a commissioner, I realized that if we were going to get that done, we need to get that done as quickly as possible. So I talked to Bob Sims, who was on the county council at the time, and we took charge of that project, and we raised $360,000 in less than a year. And we erected that with all volunteer labor in less than a year. We started in, I believe we had our first meeting in December of 2019, and we dedicated it, we had groundbreaking on Memorial Day, and then we dedicated it on Veterans Day of 2012. I have a lot of pride in that project. But that is just one demonstration of some of the projects that I have done and brought to fruition. I have it set on the park board, and I enjoyed that. And I think I could bring a lot of expertise to that board, and we're gonna get those kayak launches done, right? Yes.
Can I say one thing, Kathy, that you forgot?
What?
That in the 90s, we were in dire straits with the hospital. You and others come to the rescue of that hospital. The hospital wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for the work that we put into it back then.
Probably wouldn't be
So,
here today.
let's remember that.
Work, and Bruce was a commissioner at the time. And I appreciated every bit of support he gave me during that time. We were able to save the hospital, and we continued to.
Might have to do it again.
Maybe, you never know. I'm happy to answer questions.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Norm?
And yes, I did have a political pact. And I do realize that that is the reason for the objections today, has nothing to do with some of
The
the.
reason for the objections today is because there was no notice to the public.
Well, that's a
There
pretty
should have
altruistic way to
been more
present it, I'm
statement
sure.
saying
But I am fully
Public.
qualified
Open position.
and,
So don't try and put it on
the
that.
fact that you brought it up, buddy, makes
Okay,
the.
so if we can put this on Mr. Swihart next, if the council will allow, him, if you wanna hear what.
I don't have.
That's a, this is my meeting and I will not tolerate that. Mr. Swihart, could you please talk about yourself?
Talking over people.
My name is Carl Swihart, and I have a bachelor's degree in criminology and a bachelor's degree in secondary education. Never really worked in either one of those two fields other than criminology. I had 15 years at the Indiana State Prison as chief of internal affairs. After I left that career, I went on in search of recreation, which is my passion. I got hired on in the Florida Park Department as the recreation park director. I left the port and went to be an executive director of a sports facility in Warsaw, Indiana, which I was there for 16 years in that position. After driving back and forth all those years, and just getting tired of doing everything, I decided to come back here and was hired on as the park superintendent for the city of Knox. I retired in June last year, and in fact, I was just down at the park helping them with some stuff. So I still volunteer to help down there when I can. I am the regional director for the Great Lakes region for the National Softball Association and Girls Travel Softball. And I'm also the regional director for the NSA, National Softball Association, and the Baseball Players Association over all the umpires for the 15 states. I am a veteran, a member of the VFW and the American Legion here in Knox. And I'm also formerly on the park board for the county. I worked with Kathy Norton, who was great to work with. I got a lot of stuff done while she was there, and I was involved with her on the Veterans Memorial, which I organized great.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Swihart? Thank you, sir. Before I go back to the council and we discuss this, is there anything else from the park board members that are present that you want to say about the two candidates?
No, I know I worked with Carl, great to work with, and I think I took Kathy's spot when I joined. But she was very helpful. I've actually I would have wanted to kind of outside of that on different projects. You know, when we had questions about things and how they were going, so I don't see any issue with working with them.
I'd just like to say my experience with working with both of them. Kathy was off the board the month I started. However, she was always available to me to give me direction and guidance as I learned my way through the department. Carl has always been a hands-on. Both of them have always been approachable, have always been knowledgeable and helpful. I think it would be valuable to have them on our board, so our work can be strong again.
Tracy, did you have anything to add to that? Agree,
I
disagree?
worked with Kathy. She was kind of before my time, but I have met with her a couple of times for different issues, and she has a world of knowledge. She's helped a lot. Carl was on the board since I've been there, and you know, with him having the experience of the city clerks, you know, he knows a lot and can, you know, guide me a lot when I have questions.
I would think his network too is also valuable to you. One more and then we're gonna discuss this.
I know Kathy, I had my problem with Kathy before. My problem is I have grandchildren now. I've been here for quite a while. I want to see this community come up. What are we gonna do with our drug problems in the park and everywhere else? And I'm also the one that came up many, many times wondering why we cannot have a public swimming pool and keep these kids busy.
You know, we've got a lot of things coming up, so please keep attending our meetings. We're gonna start having some revenue in 2026. The council is gonna be all ears. And the commissioners on, you know, things that we can develop. We're interested in those kind of things, so keep us posted. Right now, we don't really have a lot of surplus cash laying around, but we do want to make things better for the community, especially the kids. So
My whole answer was library. Kid goes to the library, makes 3 report cards, gets a free pass to the swimming pool in the school, which we own. Okay, but
It's separate from the county though.
everybody turned it down. You educate the kids, you give them free swimming, and you keep them busy. Idle time is a devil's playground.
I like that idea. I think one of the big things with swimming pools, and I'm gonna stop there, but the thing with swimming pools is the liability, and that's a lot of the times why things don't move forward anymore with pools. Like there's been some big settlements.
One person, or we pay liability for 30.
I'm with you. Please stay with us on that. If you've got ideas, we want to hear. Don, before I switch to the council, anything from the commissioners about the two candidates, since we're kind of focused on that to start with.
I just think they're both good people and we need them on the park board. I've known them both for a long time. I was a commissioner with Cass. And I just think they're good people.
Thank you, sir. Council.
Well, I think one of the things a lot of people don't realize is how much volunteer work that those park board members do. And so in the future, if you're interested in that appointment, just be aware of how much volunteer.
Great point. It's a working position.
It is, it's not fun.
Yeah. Well, it's fun, but it's a lot of work.
Well, it's not all fun.
It's time.
Oh, sure.
And it's come a long way. I mean, I remember when we first really started getting things started again. Me being over there with dirt in my ears and Rick coming over to say, what's going on with over there, meeting with people out in Coons Lake about the beach and, other things like, we're actively trying to improve all that. So, Howard, Tony.
I've already made my objections known to what I think is a one-sided and non-transparent process.
Well, I will say that Kathy has done a lot of work on her own. I remember telling you stories about her and the grandchildren going out and picking up trash, and hauling it away, so. Not in a good position, she wasn't, I don't know, you weren't on the park board this time, were you?
Yeah, we were in a trailer and then ran up and down the beach and picked up trash, made it across the street and dumped it in the camper. Rick who lives right on the beach from that.
Trash is definitely a job out there.
I will say that, maybe the stuff wasn't maybe brought out as much as it should be, but the appointments are on the park board website. With who's on, it's not updated, but it does have their year of their ending, expiration. It was on our agenda. Maybe it should have been posted more. Maybe the website, our county website, I think we're all in agreement that it needs some advancement, some updates, and I understand that's hard for our IT to have to do.
And also, even the council, like, we also need to communicate that to Stanley, all of us, every department needs to communicate better with Stanley, because he gets the information from the department.
I can send her an email.
With that being said, I've known Kathy for, I don't know how many years, a long time, since I was a little kid. I mean, you were little too then, but, and she's on the CDC board, which is very integral to the kayak launching. And she was on there before. She speaks her mind. People don't like that. I mean, I don't know. I speak my mind. That's the way it is.
I'd like to say,
Carl, I've known Carl for a long time. Matter of fact, we ran against each other in the last council race, and that doesn't make one bit of difference to me. He has all the experience. He worked for the city of Knox. I mean, me personally, I'm gonna support both of them.
I just like to say, and we can solicit, we can recruit candidates for these boards, but the people that are passionate about those boards always seem to come forward. And I'm going way back into the 90s, that people that want to be involved will come forward. And that's all.
I mean, we did have an additional person come forward who I believe is here today. We haven't heard anything. Is that Eugene? Didn't you express an interest in serving?
I would consider it.
But he hasn't been heard from. You had an opportunity to prepare anything for today.
And also that Mitch Thompson.
Mitch Thompson also, but we didn't get a letter from him.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to do that. I didn't,
My statements were basically the same. There's gonna be a lot of good volunteers that want to come to this, whether it be in this or Masons or whatever it is, but I think those two do find it and a lot of things for a lot of years.
So, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
In advertising, I think to answer some of the questions, it's about it, it's a simple question and it's probably Rachel can probably answer it. As a council and as the board of commissioners, has our legal obligation been met? To advertise for these two appointments?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
They have.
Yeah.
So we can argue and I understand the concerns of the crowd. We need to get better on our social media and things, and I think today we've agreed as a board to do that. But the bottom line is, I think, what we need to pay attention to is that the legal obligations of advertising this, putting the word out there, the legal obligation of this board has been met. That's my question, and you're answering yes.
Now, what I want to ask the council is, even though it was offered by Councilwoman Cassandra for Mr. Pugh to be on the board, I heard his discussion earlier, but I didn't hear him say that he wanted to be on the board then. Do we also want to hear his resume in case somebody wants to make a motion for him to be appointed to the board? Sure. It's an open meeting. I feel like somebody's implying that I was trying to stifle him.
Not to interrupt you, before we do that, I would like to remind people how meetings work here. When somebody has the floor, have the respect and let them talk. And then when they're done, you can talk, okay? Because that is how boards work. And that is the respectful thing to do.
And I
Okay.
think that goes for around the room, not just directed.
No,
at one
you're
person.
damn right it does. And that's how it should be. And that gavel should come down quicker the next time that starts, as far as I'm concerned. I'm just a council.
Sorry, I will admit that I was
That's
delayed.
very disrespectful.
I did ask Don to have law enforcement here also to help us with that, with the procedural parts of the meeting. Mr. Pugh, would you like to present your resume to the council?
I'm not fully prepared to do that, and actually, I think in the best interest of everyone today, I think we should just move forward. I would consider the next opening.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's gonna be another opening.
There's one coming up. That's what Todd's trying to figure out here for you.
I think.
Just-
We have here.
Well, I don't want you to feel like you're being stifled.
I just wanna, this is, let you know. that Carl.
Let Mr. Pugh talk, please.
I just don't think the time is right for me to step into the board. I expressed interest. I didn't know the timetable was ending. It sure does, but I would consider.
Thank you. I just didn't want, it was implied that, we were stifling you in some way as an interesting candidate. I just want to make sure you don't feel that.
I did not know that it was going to be decided today. Maybe I missed that one, so. No,
I believe Mrs. Pugh and I had that discussion, but I believe she knew that, but yeah.
You still need to send a letter to the auditor.
Oh, and you can send a letter to the auditor
please.
now if you want to for the next position, just so it's on file.
There's two others.
There's two coming up.
There's actually two positions that will be up this year. One would be yours, commissioner's appointment, and the other one would actually be Carl. Yeah,
Yeah, I think if I come back on my current, I think mine comes up again.
yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Now, you know, how everything works.
yes.
So here, opportunities, we would love, I think we'll start coming to the meeting.
Sure.
And maybe have some input for what happens on the west side.
Absolutely. And that my door is always open. I will call you back if I can't answer. Unfortunately, a lot of times I'm in meetings and I apologize for that. Because I work from home too, but please become involved. We want that. So,
They're from my district and we've been talking somewhat regularly on Messenger. And I am having a town hall meeting on Thursday. If you're available in the evening, I'd love to have you come.
Well, these are usually when you have your meetings, we spend most of the year in Florida. That's why I said that one time, you know, about the watch.
I went to your home the other day, but you guys weren't there. So, yeah. So what I'd like to do is go back to the agenda item, just because I've made some promises too about not belaboring too much, but we want to hear everybody and everything, so. Somebody else had a. Oh, where are we at, council? Would somebody like to, it's, Mr. Pugh's not filling his name in the hat. We have two candidates here. I think we should do that, would discuss them individually, if somebody would like to make a motion or not.
Well, I move that we put Kathy Norm on. I know Kathy, I've worked with her, and I can't tell the public how appreciative I am of what she did in the hospital and continues to do. So I will make a motion to accept Kathy.
Before I ask for a second on that, I haven't said much about Kathy, but I worked extensively with her as a council person. She was also somebody that encouraged me to, her and her husband both, to become involved in government. And so I've seen a lot of positive activity also. So there's a motion, and is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Tony. Now, discussion. Okay, I'm gonna ask for all those in favor to say aye, but I'm gonna roster a vote just so we know. Howard. Aye. Tony.
Aye.
Cassie.
Nay.
Bruce.
Aye.
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 All in favor, Rachel.
No, one.
I'm sorry.
One day.
One nay.
You're on.
It's been a long morning, sorry. And then, thank you. I'll make a motion that we accept Carl to the park board. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Howard. Tony, did you have some discussion? Anybody else? We have a motion and a second. Again, we'll ask for a vote, and this time I won't mess it up. Howard. Aye. Tony.
Aye.
Cassie.
Nay.
Aye.
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 One nay. Thank you to both. Let's.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You do good.
I don't know
You don't.
Congratulations or.
Yes, sir.
You had two great people running. I didn't want to say anything before that. And I have worked with both of them, but mostly Kathy. When she was commissioner, she got a lot done in our area, and when she got a heck of a lot done. So it's a shame that somebody has to lose. It's too bad for that position, but congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then, so the other thing was, we sent some items out as a list, approach your board, just to kind of get an update, because it's kind of one of those boards that, since you're not open all winter. One thing that Kathy can attest to was that she and I were, and Don was around for this. When we committed to the park board, the other thing was, not unlike the EMA board, for example, was that we talked about grants and other things. During part of that time, but there's a big window where there's no activity. So I know that the council wanted to ask about that. We wanted to get an update on if the piers are getting in on time this year, and we get a revenue.
The piers, obviously, and if I don't know if there's any grants over the winter that were applied for or seeked out. I don't know.
As far as the grants, last year started the process of the big federal grant, the LW Land and Water Conservation. We started that a year ago. Last winter, it was like in December, January, February of 2023. We have proceeded with that. We have passed all of the federal or state qualifications. We did get a little bit of a setback due to they deemed it historical. So we just had to follow a lot more guidelines. They want minimal changes because they want to keep the building the way it is. But of course, for things have to be ADA compliant, the doors, the windows, things like that, but the actual structure will be the same. That is ongoing. There's been a lot of preparation meetings out there with the Troyer Group, who is the engineer and architectural group that we are using. That has continued all through 23 and has continued all winter and spring of 24. That's a $1.15 million grant to upgrade the beach house, the bathrooms on the beach side, the bathrooms on the campground side, some improvements to the tent area,
playground equipment, the gatehouse where you enter the beach, the guardhouse where you enter. The campground, that is all still going good. We're hoping to have an answer of it passing the federal by first middle of June. And then it will go out to bid. Last year also the grant, besides going on that, we did get a grant from the Northern Indiana Community Foundation. We got all new garbage cans, we got all new grills. We got a grill for Coons Lake. They suggested or asked if they could have one also. They were all cemented in, like, I don't know when the old ones were put in, but there were just posts left with concrete and the grills were gone and they all had to be dug out and, you know, we put them back in. Volunteers helped do all that, so there was no expense for that. So this year, and so the forest, the Starke County Forest just had been meeting with Bruce out there, and we just had there's a walking trail that you go through, so we've just put in, and it just got finished yesterday, like a bunch of gravel because it's a marsh area and all of it's like peat moss under it and it's all kind of washing away. So we brought in a bunch of gravel and had that all spread and everything. And that of course will come out of the forest fund that comes from all of the logging that's done out there. And Bruce is also going to be at our meeting Tuesday to talk about the next logging. It pretty much funds itself through the logging. He's thinking about taking care of that in this fall and helping us out with how we go about logging, because I'm not a logger. Also, we have saved the date for June 5th, which is the National Environmental Day. And we had an event out there last year. It was our first year for that. This will be our second year. It's on a Wednesday, June 5th. It's an all-day event. We'll have, you know, kids things to do. There's all kinds of speakers. There's speakers that take you out on trails. They'll talk about trees and plants and insects and all kinds. I think there's 2 or 3 different hike times. We'll have a lunch provided, of course, like I said, kid games and little giveaway things for the kids. And we did receive a grant to fund that. As far as the kayaks, I'm gonna let Angelina and Kathy elaborate on that, kind of handling the kayaks. I believe this was started quite some time before me. Kathy knows a lot of it, and before Angelina.
And we actually had a special meeting,
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
yeah, the other day, so as far as the what.
So Kathy gave me the wealth of knowledge on the kayaks. I'm gonna let the 2 of them handle that.
Well, Kathy, before we go to that, can we stay on I wanted to, before we go on kayaks.
I was just covering the grants
But,
part.
right, but
I mean, there's just a couple other things, in the, along the line of transparency, because I agree with everybody here, that's the way we need to be, plain and simple. There had been much discussion about the cash, the money,
Right.
how that was gonna be handled.
Right.
Has that been
Yeah,
taken
no,
care of?
we looked at a lot of different options. Cash apps that go on a computer, there are none that are free. It is a fee that you have to do through a site. Somebody has to do all of the tallying of that and when you go through. So I went down to Tippecanoe State Park and I talked to the DNR that run that down there. And they of course have a computer system and they have all of that. They are the state, but our park board has always kind of decided to kind of try to follow the state, you know, being that we're a county park. She did say that they did start out with a cash register and that was fine, but as modern technology came along, they went to the computer system. The computer system is great. It's very expensive to get going and started. So in the meantime, we talked and decided we would use a cash register for now. So when you program the cash register, you'll be able to put kayaks, gate fee, seasonal fee, non-seasonal, you know, all of your different departments in there. At the end of the day, you know, you'll put in how much money you started with, how it came out. There's a Z out button. It'll tell you exactly where all of your money went to. We did purchase the cameras that you asked for to put outside and inside. So next year, maybe with the grant, it's not in there for the computer system, but if we do open the little snack house or whatever, we're gonna have to have a cash system in there. So maybe we can go to the computer system by then, and then they can all be tied in together. But in the grants also, it's in the grant that we will have solar cameras out there. And they will be more than just at the beach.
Before you get too far though, I just want to ask Stanley, because we specifically asked for a point of sale setup. The computer system shouldn't have been expensive. We asked to use one of the county computers that are retired or available. Did the park board ever approach you about any of that?
Hey, I got an answer for that. So Tracy and I talked to the treasurer, and using our computer part-of system is not gonna work.
Okay, but this was just for the point of sale system, not the quietus system, but we want them to deposit in the treasurer
She
daily.
does deposit daily.
Right.
So they approached me about getting a desktop for out there and regarding what unit it was, the plan was to recycle an old unit that the
Yes.
county still has. Unfortunately, due to the remaining hardware that I have, I don't have any that will function out there. To be able to connect to the internet to do what they need. Anything that I would have gotten would have required purchase of additional hardware. And at that point, I spoke with Tracy about it, and she declined that avenue. Instead, deciding to go with their laptop for out there, and I would get a desktop ready for their office over in the other annex building, which will then be hardwired.
So you couldn't run that kind of an application on their laptop and connect it to the internet out there?
Well, how much money are we talking for the hardware?
Yeah, because the producer specifically
Well,
said they
we
wanted.
don't need any if we do it this way. We'll put the desktop here at my office over there. The laptop will be out there. We have to have the laptop to run credit cards anyway. There has to be something left there at all times.
So you are running credit card, what, through Square or something, or?
Through PayGo.
Oh, okay, I wondered about that.
They're gonna
You
give
do
a
it
card
through there.
swiper,
Okay.
so.
In your register, I mean, it records, it starts,
We will have to put the credit card in there, but we will have the credit card receipt.
but like it records the beginning balance, what you take during the day, the ending balance.
Correct.
Okay.
And at any time during the day, you can X out and see where you're at. At the very end of the day, you Z out. And that shows you everything that you did for the day.
So,
Just clarify on the credit card, though, the credit card is gonna be hand swiped through the PayGov hand swipe device. That will be into the computer, that PayGov payout report comes in daily. And then it will be necessary to manually input that into the cash register. Those two will not be connected.
but there's still a trail of all of it. So that's
Correct.
good. And the fee that's associated with that, is that paid by the user?
Yes,
Okay,
3% by the.
okay.
So in talking to him, so he said that like. Our gate fee is $5 for one person, $10 for a carload. There's a $1 fee up to $10 on those little purchases. If somebody comes in and wants 5 kayaks, that's $50. There's the 3%. But that's theirs. We get the full amount.
$1.50, so it's worth it.
And the thing about it, the credit cards that we had issues with last year, not having a computer out there all the time was. We weren't able to input the credit card. We go the next day and it was declined.
Yeah.
This way, by having a computer there at all times, we'll be able to swipe it and it tells you right then if it's declined.
Well, it's definitely heading in the right direction.
And this kind of all has to be done in the next week and a half.
Yeah, we're
because,
almost ready to open it. We have
you
no
know,
anywhere with that.
Every person,
Concerns with that.
we're on it.
every person that switched shifts, you're gonna get a total off that cash register to start over.
Well, we can.
I would like.
We don't like to have much, one girl.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And it used to be Rachel's daughter, so she's pretty trustworthy.
So for the cameras, they're not installed.
Not yet.
Who's gonna install them? Is he gonna install them or?
No, we have an IT guy that's working with the internet and everything out there that
Okay,
install.
all right, I'm just
install
curious.
them.
Right, and that's gonna work, we're inside in the gatehouse and then at the entry lane.
Because in my thoughts, it's paramount that that gets done.
Oh, it will. It'll be
Yeah.
open. It'll be done before we go.
Speaking of internet too, just so I don't forget to ask it later, are you gonna negotiate this year when it comes up? Seasonal internet instead of paying all the way through the winter when nobody's out
Right
there?
now, we cannot do that. the president signed a contract in
Were you aware of
21 or
that?
22. a
Let's see the
5-year
contract.
And how much is that a
And
month?
MediaCom does not offer that anymore. They used to when I was here years ago. They quit doing that because there were so many people from Chicago and stuff that wanted it shut off and turned back on that they don't offer that anymore.
Or do they charge a restart fee or something if you shut it off? Why not
It's
just?
too late. Dick already signed the 5.
No, a 5 year.
We need to see that.
Because during the winter, yeah, we need to get the
We need
commissioners
that
and
contract.
attorney a
That was
copy of
kinda
that.
before my time.
Yeah.
That was years ago, though.
Yeah, so
What's that, Bill?
And it's
Why
basically
would we do that?
3 to 4 months that we're not there.
yeah, how much is it a year?
Well, it's
They do a year.
$330 a month, I think.
So that's $1,000
Still.
at least, at least.
I mean, we can look into that.
Yeah, we want to see I want to see the contract.
Yeah. I
So the
have it.
attorney needs to see it.
And then Tom said you weren't finished your on your report, but are you gonna talk about the piers and the picnic tables in your report?
I'll do the peer.
Okay.
I can talk about this.
I'll do the
But
peer.
you said Tracy wasn't done though. She said she was done.
Just finished. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that she was able to get into the cash register, the camera. Taking an
Yeah,
entrance.
we're,
We're turning it into the brand.
having a training day on all of that, before we open Memorial Day. Opening that Thursday, the 23rd, I believe it is,
And I think two other important things that I know, Jack Campagna came out and fixed the beach also and brought sand in.
Yeah, I have a whole list. I was just kind of elaborating.
That's what I was just
on
asking.
Just have that report. Yes, we did have a volunteer come out and bring in, I don't even know how many he brought in, numerous loads of sand. It looks really nice. He's also building us a drag that we can drag it with when needed. He's also gonna redo the driveway and, we decided not to, the beach drive right in front, decided not to do that until all of the hauling in and out was done.
And I want to recognize Jack Campagna for helping us out with that, because that's
Huge.
above and beyond, so.
And, our main, it's really bad out there right now. It's so flooded and has been for 2 months. And I mean, it's Mother Nature. There's nothing we can do about it. People are complaining, but I mean.
Is that our property though, where it's so wet in the back? We need to look, I meant to look at that on
It's not
GIS.
even that.
Look,
It's
is that
the whole campground and the beach.
I wonder if we could have Tom go out
Campers
there.
are
and look at that.
underwater and everything. It's just,
Make sure.
it's Mother Nature. It's higher than the ground and
Yeah.
there's nowhere for it to
Maybe
go.
it's rain that's.
You can drive around the whole lake and it's not just the campground that's flooded. It is,
It's the lake.
The whole lake's wet. I saw it,
Right.
it's actually flooded on the beach side
it
too.
is.
But
I mean,
I was just mentioning it to Don, maybe we can have Tom look at the drains out there though too, just to make sure that nothing's,
Sam Byron is one of our board members. He researched and found who owned the property behind us. And there was some discussion about either us purchasing to see if he would purchase that property. But that's where the swamp there is, but irregardless, ours is still, we're still flooding everywhere.
We've had a lot of rain.
That is a huge problem is that swamp
We've
beside that
had
property.
that for many
If we
years.
could get a drain out of that, that'd be wonderful.
There's nowhere for it to drain though. You can't drain to the lake when the lake's higher than the campground.
sometimes you'd be surprised though, drains that are a distance away can also alleviate some of those kind of things. But I'm not the surveyor, so I don't have extreme knowledge in it, but that is possible to drain things sometime. Go ahead.
And just, all winter, a lot of the contracts and leases and stuff we had were from when Angelina, before either one of us came in. They were just kind of plain and simple. Last year was my first year. Got that under my belt. This winter, I made a whole new, I can't even call it lease anymore for the seasonal campers. It's called a camping permit. Because being a lease, they think that they own it and it's year round and they can make all the rules. So we decided to make it a camping lease. It's 5 pages long. I designed it myself. I designed, there was 4 or 5 different ones that we redid and sent them to Justin. He kind of went through them and, you know, the legality part of it and fine toothed them. And we got, you know, there's 98 peer slips that are 5 pages long that all had to be, you know, taken care of and sent out. There's 54 camping leases that, you know, have to be taken. It's just, you know, it's a lot, but it's things that have to get done in the winter because come March 1st, you're out there and it's time to go again, you know. All of the passes for the beach and the campers and pier holders and resident and non-resident, you know, all that has to be redesigned and ordered and picked up and just a lot of, you know, it seems as soon as you get everything cleaned up, it's not like the camping season ends October 31st, we lock the gate and come back April 1st. You know, it doesn't work that way. But you know, that's what the off months are for, is to work on all of these things. All of the calendars have to be updated, all of the changes that we've made, you know. So yeah.
You understand though that you're not an elected official, so that's why we need to ask those kind of things, because it's not supervising you during those months, and we don't go to every park board meeting or ask for a report on that, but we do need to know what our
Your board, but we meet every month and.
I'm talking about my board. I'm talking about my board, yeah, like.
You know, I've seen it on the calendar, but what is it, your meetings, are they like a certain?
Second Tuesday.
Thank you.
It's on the contract.
Sure it is, I know, I remember seeing it, I think I might have, it might
At
have
6
been
o'clock
posted.
and here, right here.
Like next Tuesday, we'd love to see you.
Any other questions that you?
The picnic tables. Are you set now on picnic tables?
Well, we had a volunteer, I picked up wood to make one and it's absolutely beautiful. We're gonna make it work until we can get more made.
If your volunteer doesn't work out, can you show the sheriff's department what your design is? Because I know you had some questions about their design, but I know they'll build something however you want it. Yeah, so if that doesn't work out with your volunteer, just, I was gonna say, that'd be great if you could work with them.
Maybe we can do both so we can expedite getting some tables.
Or
because
maybe
we
parallel,
need this
I don't know how many you've got made already, but I know the sheriff talked to me about that and said, hey, like, you know, they'll support you. And if you got a different design, there are a lot of different ways to design a picnic. Just one other thing, sorry. The other thing that I had a question on, and I do have a lot of people that tell me that they use the forest. I walk around it too. The question that that has been raised to me, and I was even gonna bring my zero turn out there if I had time, but people are saying that a lot of the times the trail isn't mowed. Like, is that something that your department's doing regularly? Are you looking for volunteers? Bruce does the mowing of the trail, because he doesn't let, the part where people are walking, he doesn't let anybody touch it. Isn't that our asset? I mean, I know he donated it, but I mean,
He pretty much.
shouldn't we keep it on the mowing of it too, though, just so people aren't like walking through the grass?
He's back now, so.
Well, if he's gone a lot in the spring, I think it's unreasonable. We have an asset that's for the public.
And it's all.
We can talk to him every.
Yeah, if not, let him know. We can probably put a volunteer.
I was just gonna say, I just lived down the road near one of my guys could run down there, and I know there's a little.
Well, the trail through the marshes now gravel, so.
I'm just saying, they got something.
Yeah.
I just went down on the picnic tables, how imperative it is that we get something expedited. I checked in a new camper last weekend. They pulled in, they called, they didn't like the spot because there was no gravel, which Tracy's working on that. And then she said, by the way, my husband leaned on the picnic table and it crashed. We're looking at a liability issue with the tables that we have out there should not even be out there because they're in such bad shape.
Well, then gotta get rid of them. Yeah.
Could the sheriff's department repair some of those possibly too, though, like they're totally wasted?
Repairing them.
My thought is, and you might have thought of this already, but I always like it when I'm out and about and I see this where you solicit the public to donate money for one and then they get a plaque on that
We talked
table.
about that.
So, yeah.
Kathy raises a great point. Why don't we put that out to the public from this meeting? Is that okay with you, Don?
Yep. I think we're missing.
Well, I
a
think
big
there might be
asset by
some
using-
groundwork
using
that we need to be
public
laid,
farm
you know,
program.
as far as.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Especially if they have-
Putting it out, yeah. but-
That's when you got a question.
You need-
What is it?
I said mentioned vegetable.
Yeah.
I know the
Yeah. Is he also
DOC
that,
down
face
south
paint
used to build them and they.
that
you know,
they're looking for
working on
donations
some
on picnic tables?
Yeah, I wonder if. the-
Yeah, like if the pit stop wanted one that said, you know, donated by pit stop. Mrs. Pugh was first. Right? Okay, all right. Okay,
There's one-
you wanna donate a picnic table?
Well, how many picnic tables are needed?
There's about 100 out there. It's a lot.
60 campsites. We also have a tent area that has 12 sites there. That's on that side. On the beach side, we have 2 pavilions that we rent out for functions. We like to have 6 to 8, sometimes 10 tables under those. And then because we got the grills here, we need picnic tables for people to come out as they're on the beach to enjoy their picnic with their family.
And just,
So you're looking in excess of close to 200 as a minimum to get us where we need to be.
the lumber,
Be replaced,
All of them.
all of them, and how much are they?
the lumber for the one that we tried as the trial was like $160, and then. You know, there's a lot of cutting and bolts and all of that.
Treated lumber's expensive.
Enough to do them in a quick order. You can't just do one at a time.
I'll donate one on behalf of the.
I'll donate one, and then I was gonna let you know too, like,
My
I'm happy to
suggestion-
volunteer. like, Working, however.
And you know, that's what we kind of did with the grills, you know, I made plaques for those to put on the grills, you know, that. They were
Appreciative of.
a grant
I mean,
from,
when, listen, sir,
I myself look at what you are doing with grants and everything else and that, and it's, you have to pay to get in. We have people out here that can't afford to pay to get in. So, for me, in my mind, to save money is, my kids have a tree business. And there's other tree business. Will gladly donate you these trees to cut down for your wood to make the sheriff department to have wood to make picnic tables.
it's a great idea, but it has to be treated. There's too many bugs where it's wet, so, but thank you for that thought, but, we were, if you want to, you were, I think, finishing about wood, the materials. So you're gonna get a hold
you know,
of.
donating the material, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like $160 for one, and. And I have the plan for it, the way they have to be made for a county park for liability, you can't just go buy a picnic table at Menards because. They tip over, and I mean, you have to, we are going with the.
No, I don't think there's an argument. If you can get the design of the sheriff's department, I know that the sheriff will support it, Mr. Redder.
So I've had this idea and I've thrown it around a couple different times, elsewhere, but. Kind of like a job fair, but a volunteer fair. Where, you know, all the different organizations and different boards, you know, one day where they set up booths. You know, we have food and snacks and stuff, but a day to where they can say, here, you know. This is what we do, you know, for the community, this is what we need volunteers for.
Hey, that's a great idea.
And I'm even thinking, they've been having that, they're calling it a craft fair at the Knox Mall, like almost every week. And it's, my understanding is it's been getting pretty good attendance. Maybe it could be the craft and volunteer fair.
To be honest, just the parks alone, we have so much opportunity for volunteerism, and I'm just gonna tell you, like, even when it comes to, like, kayaking has become so popular here, but I will tell you, I'm gonna stick up for all my farmers right now. I get a lot of complaints about people throwing trash out when they're going down the waterways. Maybe we can get volunteers to help clean some of that up too, because, you know, the farmers won't support us if, you know, if they keep on having to see damage and, you know, and garbage on their property. So I think it's a great idea. I think the park department alone, we could have a open house for the park and say, hey, these are the list of things that we're looking for volunteerism for. You know?
Sponsoring the plant, sponsoring the garbage, and that, like, you sponsor planters, the plant, sponsor garbage.
I like that.
Change the garbage.
A little bit about that.
About our office, you know,
They're organized.
once the
groups
kayak
to,
launches get in. say-
Sponsor a kayak launch, make sure that.
But if you have those
I like that, yeah.
organizations or even big sponsor,
Like conservancy.
can put their name on it, they'd be responsible for emptying it.
We want to get their service coming in and that would be a fun environment for them to go do, they're more likely to show up. So I'm working with him in corrections.
You're talking about the community service side, not the inmate side, right?
So that when we get up and rolling, that between the Parks Department employees, our volunteers, and organizations like that. We're gonna make sure that the garbage is monitored and picked out. If you don't have trash cans out there, or everybody's gonna be down in it.
I think, hold on, Dan.
Kathy already mentioned.
Oh, okay, was that-
They do that kind of volunteer, they come in and clean up along the route and stuff.
Yeah.
So here's a good ask that maybe you guys can put this out on, is the Boy Scouts, okay? They did, one kid did an Eagle project for Hamlet, he built this, I don't know, this octagon thing that has a ball in it, it's like kickball and cage ball all in one match, so. I know the person that's head of the Boy Scout pack, okay, there's several of them, they're all combined into one, because just like everything else, nobody wants to do it. But I think that would be worth contacting them,
And somebody,
you know, even if they come and clean up, because anything.
somebody had asked one time if we would be willing to donate like the tent area for a weekend or overnight thing for the Boy Scouts. And we could maybe work something like that, you know, if we donated that, they could work for and do their little projects there. And stuff
And
like
I'm
that.
sure they would. Because they're very community oriented, even there is only not a lot of them.
I feel there's a lot of opportunity out there that we have yet to tap into that, you know, shame on us, but
Well,
just this conversation is kind of revitalized that.
So making this meeting too was just to get you some exposure. It sounds like there's a lot of interest in different ways to help out on improvements.
Mr. President, with all respect to with the audience and the council, I have to go to work,
Thank you, sir.
okay? Please excuse me.
And I just like to remind folks that we do meet, a lot of these ideas that come directly to the park.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where we can was legislative. I agree. That start coming to the park board meetings. It's a great place to be a sounding board. Like I said, we're supporting from Sanford and Kings Lake, so.
Here at 6 p.m.
I've got the next one.
It's Tuesday.
Are we prepared to move on park board business? Did anybody else have anything else about this park board?
Report a couple of things on the kayak project. Kathy's worked tirelessly for years on. We've kind of come back and forth. We finally are at a point where our English Lake launch is, the bids will go out June 13th to start that project. We've gotten all the approval. We're dealing with territorial engineer Bob Alloy and his group. And Rachel's office is going to be gracious to help us get the bids out to those that are interested. They'll have till July the 9th. It's a 90-day contract, so the job is tentatively completed on Halloween, and the final will be the day before Thanksgiving. So that will be our first launch. Our State Road 23 project is actually going to be funded by the Kankakee Yellow River Basin Group. They're already doing a road project there, so that will be our second launch. It's going to be completed in this year. Kathy had to leave, but I know that between she and I, we're so committed to this. I'm so proud to say that it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, actually, the park board had a special meeting to approve the
To approve the
engineering.
engineering costs for that.
I will tell you though about the English Lake project. I have had people from the English Lake area call me and they are concerned about garbage accumulating there.
And that's what we've already discussed.
The problem is though, if we put a dumpster out there, then people are gonna fill it up. So I just want the public to know that the county doesn't usually do that.
See a lot of the state parks, Kathy and I've already talked about the signage for that.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I wanted to report on was the status of our pier installation. Obviously, the contract was awarded to Steve Barrett. The contract required him to start on or before May the 1st to be completed by the 22nd. 2 days ago, he's having staffing issues. We've got one section out of 3 piers that need to go in. Since we've been here, I'm going out there to see if his crews showed up again. But the goal is to still make that happen. This is my 3rd season taking care of the pier slip holders and the pier situation. I can tell you out of our 98 slips, all but 2 have already been leased. So we brought in, so far, the revenue from that is going to be $56,816. It's not something that we can take lightly. These piers need to get in.
Absolutely.
Because last year we wrote $37,000 worth of credit because of the problems with those piers not being in. That went into my very first year when the piers came out. So this will be, this year, We have used all the credits, all the customers have. So next year, we're looking at a minimum, if we're full in on time, $68,000 worth of revenue will come into this department, into this county as a result of that pier project. But if we don't get them installed, we might as well forget it because we have messed with our pier.
We need to put a penalty in that contract.
Yes, it's $100 a day. That's
what it is.
And what's the difference? We're talking Memorial Day. That's 2
Yeah,
days before
no,
Memorial Day.
but,
These people are calling me every day.
Who were you
And I
gonna
get
pick?
my vote in.
Yeah, who are your backup? And there's some kind of, I did Pierce, I had crew over in Culver for years. I mean, I just gave it up a few years ago because I was just
We don't have
tired
that.
of it. So that kind of deal.
And
Steve actually won the bid, so that's the way it worked.
Yeah, it's water under the bridge, but I mean, low bid doesn't necessarily mean someone that's gonna have the crew. but-
You can get rid of it, you don't have to buy.
To choose from though.
I just wanted to say, I saw the ad for the two available pier slips on Facebook. Good job, Ed.
Well, there was 3 and I got a call that quickly, so I hurried up and changed it to 2. So yeah, I do a lot of, I manage the Facebook page for the beach and campground, and we do get a lot of information on people there.
The risk I would mention with the piers going in this year is the unprecedented lake level.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to look as the piers go out.
It's higher now, right?
Out, yeah.
Right.
That's where one hits a bit. But we'll find more ways because
People will be happy with that speed right now.
Yes, but there could be an additional expense to hardware, attachments to the kitchen. So with that high water level, because the poles that we have now that the piers attached to, if they're too low, they don't do the city.
At the end of the pier that's in right now, they're up to here and they have to go 20 more or
And what?
12 more feet out.
So
So
we could be in a hardware issue, and that's what Tracy and I were talking about, getting a
very
plan B.
unforeseen, unusual.
We're gonna have a plan B somehow figured out today, because it doesn't look like the water level's gonna go down till August or something. So,
And hearing that, I think that we've exhausted the park board discussion. Thank you for part of that. We do have one more item and, the other thing was just to put some framework on this. I don't know if the council is aware of this. But there's a trial of a county government page that was approved by the commissioners to do a 30-day trial. I believe we're, I don't know, about halfway through.
We should be.
Yeah, so I put this on here for discussion. A couple of the council had discussion about that. I have had employees that have raised different issues. I don't know if they're here to talk about this, but I have had them also just ask about, the page being closed or the posting, the hosting, all those kind of things. So maybe they're gonna bring something up. I also asked the clerk to be here because the clerk's department was one of our groups of employees that wanted to have some remonstrance about a recent post. First of all, does anybody want to say, Cassie, do you want to talk about the page anymore or just?
Well, I haven't made it public that I'm the one, I volunteered to admin the page, because because I knew the county we didn't have the funds to seek a social media administrator. And when I approached yourself and Donnie about it, I stated there would be no editorializing, no opinions, it would be announcements and facts and news. And I think Donnie in particular had asked would there be comments, and my intention all along was to do whatever I could to not have anyone comment. And I think I checked with Justin about, okay, if I don't allow any comments, is that any infringement on anyone's freedom of speech? And I was informed, no, because as long as you're not picking and choosing who's allowed to comment, you're okay. So that's what I've been following. The page, you do have to send a friend request currently. I tried to make it into a group, but then I was having trouble preventing the comments. And maybe if there's anybody who's more skilled at coming up with a group where, nobody can comment, I'm happy to switch it over to that. So I have done my best to not only include news from like our meetings, commissioners meetings, things like that, but also to check like IDEM, INDOT and other state groups. And if they have events or posts that pertain, that I feel like pertain to local things, like INDOT had a road closure. I posted it because I felt that it could affect some of our residents' commutes to work. So The only folks that have sent friend requests that I haven't accepted are when I check their profile and it's obvious that it's a scantily clad woman with it's just, yeah, who's just looking to troll the page to hit on some of the other participants. And there's also, if it's a brand new page, they have no friends and like no profile picture, I think it's obvious that that one is a fake. So I go through and I weed out, according to my years of Facebook use, the fake ones, but everyone else is accepted on there. And the page sends out friend requests too, to try to get as many people exposed to the page as possible. And I think I counted this morning, just after a few weeks of having the page, we have almost 800 people following, either followers or actual people that have had the friend request accepted. So it has grown as far as followers go. As far as people commenting, or not commenting, but liking and sharing, there's not a whole lot of that going on, but I figure it's at least out there, and I'm trying to make it one sort of centralized place, which I understand that the website does exist, and I did put a link to the website on there. But then after I learned that we were going to be discussing this today, and there was one complaint in particular that I had heard about, I thought, well, maybe I should take the link down, which I tried to, and I can try again. For some reason, it wouldn't let me hit save. And then I also put a statement on there that it's not actually, I'm adminning. That doesn't mean it's an official county sanctioned page. I'm just doing I just volunteered to do it. Was given the okay. And I'm trying to do as thorough of a job as possible disseminating information. And I was told, let me just say too, I was told that one of the complaints had stated that there was a post about grievances that were filed for the election, and it was alleged that I had put that there was a hearing. I rechecked the post, I screenshotted it. I did not state that there was a hearing. I stated there was a meeting to go over grievances filed by citizens regarding a certain candidate's failure to use a disclaimer on election material. None of that was opinion. None of it was all factual. I did put a cite to the actual Indiana statute that talks about failure to use a disclaimer. That was not opinion either. So if there's certain news that people just don't like getting out to the public, I guess that's too bad, because everybody I talk to wants more transparency.
Before we go there, since the first department was referenced, would you mind if I start over there? And then
When the girls brought it to my attention, I never seen it. The girls brought it to my attention. They felt like they were duped because they thought it was a true county webpage, and they felt like they shouldn't have to join anything. If it's a true county page, it should be public for anybody to see.
It is public. It is public.
They have to friend request it though.
In order to receive things in their feed, but I believe anybody can look at it because it is not a private group. Anybody can look at it. Anybody can like things. It's just if they want to receive things in their feed on a regular basis, then they would ask for the friend request.
That's the problem. They don't think if it's a true county page, they shouldn't have to like anything. It should just come.
I'm not saying they have to like anything, but you're saying that they think it's a closed group.
Request it for them to
receive things in their feed, just like an open group. Just like, well, stand up is closed, but when it was open, you could look on there and see anything without joining it. If it is turned into a group, the same thing, it would be the same as it is today. You can pull it up, you can read everything. You don't have to like anything. I'm just saying, you don't have to send a friend request to like things or to share things. So it's as open as it can, as any other group or page on there, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
I joined that in, or sent a friend request and everything, and I'd like to applaud the council for initiating something. I'm not saying that it doesn't need some tweaks. I agree with a lot of what Bernadette is saying on that too. You shouldn't have to ask to be a friend in order to get the stuff, but like the sheriff's page, let the comments come. That would give Bernadette a chance to clarify some of the stuff that's on there if it was, there was a question about it or anything, but I have to applaud the council, the commissioners, whoever it was, whose idea that was to put that on. I think that's very appropriate because that is how people get their news today.
And I will take credit that it was my idea and I approached them and I just like, I saw your comment that you were glad that it was doing. Yeah, it wasn't exactly like yours. I will take issue with that because there's just links to news articles.
Before I leave this there, before we leave that thought, and I'll say too, that when Cassie approached me, I said, you know, I think the commissioners should drive that, but what I was gonna say is I think, I will say that prior to this, it's been a couple years that I asked before about the auditor's office. Normally the auditor's office, because they have HR, because the auditor is our secretary for both. Usually that administers through. At that time, you guys have a lot going on, you know what I mean? And so but I don't think there was such a head for social media things going on as well. And I'll say that Cassie was the one that volunteered to do it, like do it herself. I think that, you know, one of the issues that I don't know, now people are coming back having some concerns that it would be one person and that, you know, during political times that there could be political bias, you know, associated with that, things like that. So I think that's where.
Well, and I guess I would challenge anybody to point out political bias where I gave my opinion or editorialized about anything. Again, it's links to stories, links to or news articles about things going on. There's meeting times and dates. I have gone on mycase.in.gov, counted up over a number of days how many cases our prosecutor's office has filed, because I know we all hear and see on different social media and hear in person, oh, they're not doing anything. Well, I don't think filing an actual number of cases or showing a number of cases that they filed is in any way editorializing. That's a statistic. They have filed 11 cases in the last 5 days.
I haven't seen that post.
I
Did
have
the
put
prosecutor's
those
office post that?
No, I went on my case. You can do it. You can search by.
I go to my case for different things, but are you saying that we had a post on your Starke County government page about that?
Yeah, I've been doing it. I've tried to do it. I've done it twice, I think, and I'm trying to do it regularly.
So I guess that puts a little framework on it. I guess there's questions too, though, like wouldn't it behoove them? I mean, it's great that you're willing to do that, but I mean, you know, we have multiple departments. We have the park board, you know,
Right.
that.
And I stated on there at the beginning that if any department heads or elected officials wanted something specific posted on there, just
So you say that the prosecutor asked for that then?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
right.
just part of local government.
Tiffany has something.
Yes.
I just didn't know, I enjoy watching the Starke County page that you created, but I have, where you have voiced your opinions about my and my husband's business, and since the comments are not deleted, I do have verifiable proof.
That's
And
not
my
on
only
your
question-
government.
My only question was, I didn't know if the code of conduct for the council members, if that was accessible to the public, and if I could see that. Because I feel like that's a breach of code of conduct. As a small business owner to another, I thought it was unprofessional for you to voice your opinions that you have access over on a public Facebook page, bashing something that my husband and I have put our hard work and soul into.
Well, I appreciate your hard work. I did not make those comments under the capacity of a council member. I made those in my capacity as a private citizen who represented no less than 2 people against you all for allegations of wrongdoing.
Sir, you just said you didn't put your personal opinions, but now you're.
It's 2 different pages. There's your Starke County government.
Code of conduct. We are the one body that does have a code of conduct. In fact, we talked about a commissioner's code of conduct.
Do we have that on our council website? We should know this. I'm sorry.
Also, then, I've got so many complaints, Cassie, about different things. When I don't know if it matters on the public or not, how that works, but
Police officers are held accountable even on their personal time.
I don't know how it is, so our attorney,
By downstate.
but I think it's something that really needs to address, because I've had it, I know several people on the council said stuff to me about it. So, I don't know, but that's something, I don't know if that's executive type deal we need to do here, but it's something that definitely needs to be looked at. We even talked about this, you sat here and I said something, you was talking about this code of conduct, about a few things that were said.
And I believe that the code of conduct at that time was when we discussed it, was because of,
Conduct.
well, and I'm
It's the
speaking
same.
now, that it was about certain, I think it stemmed from certain commissioners, hollering at people during meetings or interrupting them or engaging in some sort of, I don't know if there was name calling, I wasn't present.
Jack,
That's why I
let's not
brought it up.
start this in the meeting.
Darren, I believe Justin had his hand up first.
First, I just do want to make a distinguishment between the stand-up page and the your Starke County government page that we are discussing right now. The your stand-up, or the your Starke County government page, there was no public comments or even opinion about anybody's businesses on the your county government page. Stand up is a whole nother beast, and I apologize for that. So I did have just a couple of different ideas, because I do think that you all are taking steps in the right direction to become more public transparent.
Transparency is what we want.
A Facebook page for the Starke County government, one central hub. But I was, one of my ideas was maybe a different name, maybe like Starke County or bulletin boards, how, communities have bulletin boards, and post, for sale or help wanted or upcoming, community events.
Make a motion to the audience.
But yeah, so that.
Tell them we're considering that.
Dave,
Yeah.
so I believe, in speaking with Don, and I don't want to speak over him, but we've talked about this a lot because we've had a lot of public input. And Kathy, if I could get Darren before you, after I say this, if you don't mind.
Yes.
But I feel like the commissioners have kind of been talking about. Cassie, you're right, things are moving that direction, like, and it's great for Cassie getting it started, but maybe centralizing it possibly and bringing it to the auditor's office if we have a page. That way they have a staff that can review it. It's a lot of work for Cassie anyways to try to do that on her own. I mean, she did look for volunteers.
It's been my morning coffee.
As you know, yeah.
From web page to web page.
Right. And I noticed you've shared a few of the things that I had found from I don't know, from IDEM or something like that.
So like one central place, I can go to find, the public meetings.
So this was a pilot, to your point, this was a pilot and I mean, I think, the main thing was Cassie wanted to punch through, like, we need to be, as she's saying, she
We need
wants
to
more
be getting
transparency.
this out, information out in a more centralized.
I think you guys are doing the right things and I tried even on my page, they had the government page had criticisms.
Yeah.
I spoke up about the criticism, it's new, like even with me, I still struggle, but I think that you guys are making steps in the right direction and, as you do, mistakes are gonna be made and, correcting those mistakes and growing, I think there's opportunity for that.
Okay. And so I'll just say that Don said, that the commissioners are talking about possibly making it more centralized and moving it to the auditor's office. I couldn't see you, Bruce, I'm sorry, Kate, so that's it.
I want to be very careful that anything that we do reflects the whole of county government and it is not biased in any way, shape or form, and it doesn't become another tool to weaponize.
And you're.
I'm just saying.
Page, you'll see, but and it was a pilot. I think Donnie said he would give it 30 days, see how it went.
Absolutely.
By the number of people that have sent me the friend request, there is a definite interest in such a page existing. If we want to transfer it over to the auditor's office, I'm happy to do this work. Voluntary for the owner.
So, yeah, it'll be a different page.
That's what I tried at first.
It'll do the same thing Cassie's wanting to do when I'm shutting the page down, but it's gonna be run through there, then there's 5 people looking.
I just don't know, I just didn't know because I tried to make it a group at first and I knew there was the request to not allow commentary, and the purpose of the page wasn't for commentary and discussion, it's for news really.
Information.
So, yeah, information dissemination. So, and I think I told somebody look, I'm Gen X. I tried to make it a group And then I couldn't limit the comments, and I know that, I think you found a way, or I don't know. I see groups where you couldn't comment, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I just went ahead and did it the way I did it to try to get it going. And it is, I mean, 800 people in just a few weeks, there is.
Even if you were to start a Starke County bulletin board, group, no matter what, it's gonna give the people, us, whether you're starting as a profile where you have to send a friend request, or if you started as a group, you're still gonna have that option to add friend or join group.
Style is probably a good idea.
Yeah, and then you could include, actually, because there was some information that I felt like it was important, maybe from a state agency, but I didn't include it because it wasn't related enough to local government. So if it's a billboard, you could probably broaden the scope of what gets posted and shared.
Well, and so I can see though, like Cassie, if I could just throw this out there, because you and I speak a lot about things, different things, related to the county. For example, though, like you posting about the prosecutor's office, you're an attorney, obviously, so you have an interest in that area, but also I think you have a little bit of personal feelings there. And so I think sometimes people are getting the impression that
that's unfortunate.
It's a little more personal. I mean,
because I would do it for any prosecutor's office. And if any department, I'm not going to be doing it anymore, but if I were, any department sent me their statistics, they would go up there. It's just, it's more easily accessible for me on my case, I don't.
But I mean,
see
I
how
think
many
people
roads
in the
there
public
are.
have questions about, this is not a discussion today about the prosecutor's office, but as a council member that funds the prosecutor's office, I have questions, not today, but I do have questions.
How do you get the information from what you posted about the election board in my office?
I think I received a private message that there was a meeting.
So it didn't come from the quick stuff.
That's not. Oh, well, Starke, Darren's had his hand up for a long time.
I think overall, the page is a good idea, and I think it has potential. There's gonna be a learning curve. To get the functionality that Bernadette is looking for, at least the last time we were setting up pages for things, that you're then crossing over out of the free Facebook into the business aspect of Facebook. Then there's a lot more functionality once you turn on, turn off, but then it isn't free anymore. But as a pilot, I don't think you want to start off on the business aspect of it that way until you determine, okay, will that provide, are the shortcomings of the free page going to be fixed by moving over to that different pay aspect of Facebook? And you don't have that question until you've made the mistakes of the free one. So, but I mean, that functionality is a bit like our functionality of our rescue page is different than it is for stand up, and it's different than
My car club page, I was forced to, it became a meta business. I don't even know what that is. It's a pain in the butt. So great point. What I'd like to do is go back to Bruce and then go back, because I don't know that we addressed the questions about the code of ethics. So I want to go back to that and then to Kathy and then.
You said I could go after.
I got one thing.
That's fine. You're right. I did. Sorry. You're right.
I agree with everything you said. You shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater, because I do think this is a very good idea. And if you've got some bugs with it, get these bugs worked out. But it is a good way. That is how people get their information today. But that said, back to these folks, I think what they're suggesting is that on a personal level, the council's got a higher standard in my mind, which you're an elected official to control your comments on your personal page and not be attacking people or using inappropriate language, et cetera, on your Facebook page. That reflects on the council as a whole, I think, when that happens. So that's just my opinion on it. And I feel sorry, I'm sorry for your.
Especially when it was alive, I appreciate that.
Well, it's public record on my case. Just one of those.
The second case today, that's publicly recorded that you were have a lawsuit today.
I got it.
That's my mother-in-law.
You got something?
What?
I do.
Go ahead.
I'm not aware of messaging anyone.
We'll come back to you before we close though. But Bruce?
Well, and I apologize because I'm just a farm boy. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But when I hear words like editorialize, isn't that consistent with opinion? And if there's an opinion put out there, I want it to be county as a whole. I don't want personal attacks. That stuff is not helpful. We need to unify rather than separate. And I think we're at that point now, guys. Maybe Facebook's good. I don't know. Once again, I apologize. But the thing of it is, we need to be working together instead of tearing apart. And this is what I'm afraid is gonna happen.
Well, as far as the government page, I haven't seen any editorial or anything.
Good.
And that was the goal. That's what I
Department
started.
heads weren't told about this being.
Okay.
The clerk's office. has-
Okay, it's my turn to talk. Okay, just a few minutes. When we start talking about transparency, here's something that really bothers me, and Cassie, you can probably clarify this real quick. You said that you found out about what happened or the meeting with the clerk through a private message. Was that a private message to the Starke County page? If it was, it should be public record. Because,
No, it was a private message to my own Facebook,
Okay.
which is a different,
okay, that's fine.
and as far as,
Cause that just sounded, I'm trying to get it out in the open, which you just did, because that sounds really bad.
Yep.
To me, it sounds like you got a private message.
I've
Yeah.
received waves, and I can pull it up right now and I can show you what I've received as.
No, I don't want to see it, I just asked a question, that's
On
all.
that government page.
Yeah, I just asked a question, that's
Because
all.
no, and I can screenshot if we're worried about
No.
people
I'm not worried. You
reaching out
actually-
that way. I can-
Personally getting, the.
Yeah, if you're getting it through, if it's not coming through there, I don't care who's
But
saying
here's
what.
the thing, if you're doing one or two or three different pages, isn't it confusing for the public to understand what hat you got on?
You just have to have one page, I think.
Right, and I'm more than happy not to do it anymore. I thought it needed to get started. That's what I did. 800 people responded in a short time. So whoever wants to pick it up from here, have at it.
I think you've done a good job, Cassie. I was trying to ask a question so you could clarify, so it
Right.
wasn't brought up,
I understand.
that's all.
We're gonna keep it going, but it's gonna be, listen, I would like you to shut yours down. And then it'll go through the auditor's office, there's 5 people can look at it, it's not just one person. And we'll go from there, we're not shutting it off, we'll come up with something, might be named something.
You'll have to name something different. This is
Like you said, Bill.
it's your phone. You can't transfer that name.
We have the name though, and if I put the page down,
Anything on the
Yeah.
clerk's office, it's gonna be listed on there. Nobody talks for the clerk except for the clerk.
That'll be up to the auditor for the 5 people to run the page.
And to Tori's point, like you'll reach out to all the department
Yes.
heads and elected officials and let them know that. Okay. Like I said, it was a pilot, that's what you wanted to get out of this, right, Ron, was,
Yeah.
like, first of all, was the public interested, yeah, I want to finish what I'm saying first and then I'll call on Darren. But, it was a pilot intended for that, and so I think you met your goal, Darren, and then we're gonna move.
I'm gonna poke at you a little bit.
Okay,
That the gathering all of this information for the auditor's office and whatever is maybe something, with the position you're looking to fill with Stanley could be part of you could add bandwidth to her, then that person could help, maybe work for both. So then you're gaining that necessary bandwidth in order for that person to go around and talk to Bernadette and talk to the different and say, okay, what information are you releasing this week or whatever, and then take that back to whomever. The reason I'm saying it is you're already looking to fill that
Yeah.
position, so.
well, we've been struggling to fill that
One
position,
Then
yeah.
have to add like 2.
That's not a bad idea, I mean, they're young people too, and, have a lot of knowledge of that, like he's. Has a swipe, and, is it this what you're talking about? I'm like, oh, cool, Stanley.
Information, whatever you're using on the Facebook page is also, if that person's doing it, it can also say, okay, this also needs to go on the website,
Yeah.
right?
So. You're already looking at adding that one position. If you just added that little bit of extra responsibility onto that position, that keeps from having to either give that to the department heads to make sure, which they've already busy enough, or hiring another person or.
Yeah, I wanna go back to that. Justin, last thing, and then I wanna
No,
go.
mine was just a suggestion when the official page does get up and running, just a suggestion to reach out to WKBI and advertise so that more people will know about it and come to you.
Well, I mean, and all the other pages like yours too, I think it'd be great if you can, you know, if you're willing to, you know.
I always read all the little things when you go
I
to a
guess I'll
restaurant,
learn how
get
to do
advertisements on them.
Yeah.
I read those every
Yeah.
time. I'm usually reading the same information over and over again, but I read them every time.
Well, and so with that, I want to go back to something Tony raised because I initially told the council if they would allow me to have a morning meeting that I would try to move it along too, but this has been one of, I think, one of our best meetings in a long time, but too long.
Back to code of conduct.
So what I want to say is, and back to what Tony suggested is that we make that available to you because you asked about the code of conduct. We're taking that very seriously because we've had issues over a couple of years, and that's the reason why we've had to develop that for our own governance. So what I'd like to ask is if you're okay with that, once you have more to say about it now. I want to put it on our next agenda, which is a joint meeting. That way the commissioners can hear what's going on as well. And then that gives you a chance, come back, and do discovery. I think it might be the first time Cassie's hearing, gives her a chance for discovery. And then we can, and then if anybody else in the public, it's a good chance for us to do a litmus test. Me, the rest of my colleagues here, if anybody has any issues or wants to talk about what we've done, that's an opportunity, so we'll have it on.
The only council member that Tony might have heard complaints about. I've heard complaints about him. I've heard complaints about others of you. So, and I had brought up a code of conduct months ago and a more extensive code of conduct, and it was brushed off. So
let's put that, welcome everybody.
Anything, any kind of, the shows I've seen. It's not my Facebook page.
I'm not talking about Facebook.
Oh, well, then
I'm
I'm.
talking about.
Yeah.
outside of Facebook.
So my DMV to somebody.
So if we can, if we can just add that, because if anybody else had anything else to bring up, sorry.
And like I said, as far as stand-up goes, I apologize. I tried to keep people civil, but
You have done a good job of managing that.
I apologize.
And before it was private, I have to admit, I saw a lot of posts about local business, about promoting local businesses, so I did see that. So on your page. So anyways, if I could go around the room, just asking kind of in a blanket, does anybody have anything else? So.
I've been here 15 years. I came from Chicago. People I know, like people from Chicago. But we do bring in money. It does help keep the county. Okay. In 15 years, I seen a drug problem in this community that still exists today. I came to this meeting today. I seen the pier, the kayaks, gate, you have to pay to get in. The problem with drugs is we need to realize the people that can't afford to pay to get in these parks are becoming our drug problem in the future. We need to utilize this children's time. Do something with these kids. Get them off of drugs. All I heard, Kathy, years ago, well, we're gonna give this new program to the criminals for drugs and everything else. What about the kids that never were on drugs? Where's their reward? What do they get for doing good?
Well, we're open to ideas on that. Like I said, we've got a lot of this coming up.
You guys came out.
Well,
and bring the stuff out of the closet.
I've been at other meetings where the discussion of activities and development of activities and stuff has been the topic of discussion.
Yeah.
But there is a lot happening. If I could just address that, and then I'm gonna ask for a motion to close the meeting. But I don't know if you knew my mother, but drug abuse is a passionate to me. I've had family members that have died.
So I've
Friends, let me tell you though, so I participate in several boards in the county that have specifically to do with drug abuse. A couple of them are directly involved with the sheriff's department, and I can tell you, I'm amazed by what they're doing this year with drugs, with drug buys. I mean, I don't want to go into too many details, but because they obviously have activities to try to deal with these things, but they are getting massive amounts of drugs off the street. And on the same time,
I totally agree with you.
on the same time, from the law enforcement, level up to the sheriff and the chief of police, all that. They're all actively working on controlling recidivism and trying to help these people become well. In Starke County, it's just not just throwing people in jail. There is an effort to get the drug, because that's the source. There's tons of drugs, amazing amount of drugs coming, even a small community, you would not believe it. I was shocked.
I totally agree with you 100%. And we all recognize we have a problem. The thing that I don't see here is what are we gonna do with the problem? It's our youth that we have to take care of. And I'm here for my niece and nephew. I'm gonna be raised here. And I want a better community for them.
I will tell you, the Starke County Youth Club they're one of the ones that are very active in this. They just had a telethon. They'll still take a pledge from you. I made a pledge. I know other people on my board here made a pledge. I'd say,
That everybody that works for the county or the state should take a drug test. Even the sheriff.
As a
I just want to say, that the war on drugs is a war that's never gonna be won. No
I wouldn't say
no
that.
matter what community you live in.
It's all over. I agree with you right
We're all
there.
dealing with the same thing, and no matter what step measures or how much money we spend, there is still gonna be somebody addicted to drugs. Even the kids the people that can't afford to go to the lake, they can afford their drugs, but it's a never ending battle that.
and Tom's ears.
Yeah. Amazing job.
I've been fighting for the other things for 50 years.
I agree with what you're saying, but part of it is parents too, the sheriff's department, the police department, I very quickly call them, they are not putting stuff out consistently, but a lot of it has to do with negligence of parents.
I think people have drugs in their stomach, but it's not under protection, so they.
I got you, but honestly, we'd love to continue this discussion. We've got other boards. We're putting all those up too. We want participation to get feedback for things. I just wanted to compliment the sheriff's department too, because I have personal knowledge of the activities that it's amazing what they got going on. You're looking for the motion. I was just gonna make, I think already made one. The motion is second to adjourn. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All in favor, raise your hand.
Hey, Tom.
This is my mailbox upstairs, right? Yes, I handed it to Rachel and she threw it back at me.